Whoever sees this and subscribes right now will get free nightmares. Sleep token not included. What's going on, Hilltop Mafia? It's Holy Knox Hill. We're back with our breakdown series. So today, man, listen, I have been loving this sleep token journey. You guys know the lyricism, the poetry of it all. It just feels like it's made for a channel like this that loves to dissect all that. You guys have been highly requesting this one, saying we dive back into the catalog. So this right here, right now is none other than Rain. But before we get any further, listen, if you like the hat that I'm wearing, if you like the shirt that I'm wearing, knoxhilldmv.com, go get your official merch. It all supports the channel. It all goes a long way. Hats, shirts, hoodies, everything that you need. If you want to rep the brand, if you want to get it out there, I'll put all links down there. But anyways, know what we're here for. Sleep token, step back up to the plate. Let's see what you got.
For so long I have waited, so long that I almost became just a stoic statue fit for nobody, and I don't want to get in your way, but I finally think I can say that the vicious cycle was over the moment you smiled at me.
That's a haunting tone, just when he slides up in the range, and that just kind of reverberates and echoes out. But already some really interesting lines, and we have the classic breath. It really feels like it's such a heavy breath. Like I talk about how normally like it gets cut out of the mix, but in this case, it just feels like this has become like a signature for starting tracks. Because we know we're getting ready to take another plunge. Like, here we go. Right before we leap into the waters.
For so long
That's a beautiful note too.
I've waited, so long that I almost became just a stoic statue fit for nobody, and I don't want to get
Just a stoic statue. I love the way that that's putting the alliteration on the S's, but obviously like being stoic, right? Just sort of this not giving too much expression, not giving too much emotion. And what's interesting is the way that this is set up, because you have this stoicism here and feeling like he's going to become a statue because how long he sat in stillness, how long he sat waiting. But then finally, the emotion that kind of breaks the stoicism and triggers things comes later in this verse when he talks about the smile.
for nobody, and I don't want to get in your way,
Even that, you sense the power dynamic. I don't want to get in your way.
but I finally think I can say that the vicious cycle was over the moment you smiled at me.
It's interesting that it gets put as a vicious cycle, right? Again, this is just sort of that poetry with words, that way of writing with these juxtapositions. Because right after that, you have this smile, and it sounds so beautiful with this piano. But before that, it's preluded by a vicious cycle. It can't just be breaking a different type of cycle, right? There's always that toxicity to me. With that love comes that drug, comes that darkness, comes that obsession, and the addiction of drugs with that, to me, tying in as he talks about this relationship, as you guys have pointed out with sleep.
You smiled at me,
Haunting.
and just like the rain, you cast the dust into nothing and wash out the soul from my head. So touch me again, I feel my shadow dissolving. Will you cleanse me with pleasure? It's that chemical cup that I can get down with up like the moon.
So the rain washes away. There's a really interesting line playing off the salt.
Feel my shadow dissolve from my head.
Washing away the salt from my hands. You know the saying like rubbing salt in the wounds, right? You're just adding insult to injury. So in this case, for me, again, here's sort of that that cycle of destruction, that vicious cycle that he talks about, and just washing that salt away. Why wash salt away? Why is that salt there in the first place?
So touch me again.
It's almost like he acknowledges the darkness, and he even talks about the shadows being washed away too. But for him, this is where sort of that drug is, that overwhelming rush of pleasure. Even though there's all this pain, that pleasure, when it gets felt, is enough to overcome that pain. At least even if it's just temporarily, right? We don't know if there's a longevity to that. We just know that in that here and in that now, he wants that pleasure. And for me, when he talks about the Stoicism, you have this feeling of sort of timelessness, right? And this touch upon eternity and a longer sense of time and space. But that contradiction for me and that juxtaposition is him being tired of this wait, being tired of this long form process, and just wanting to give in to the here and now, to that rush of that pleasure, that rush of that feeling in here in this moment. Long-term consequences be damned.
I feel my shadow dissolving. Will you cleanse me with pleasure?
You can even hear the rain. You can hear the rain in the mix. That's clever.
It's that chemical cut that I can get down with, up like the moon and out like the hounds. A dangerous disposition.
Chemical cut, My Chemical Romance, right? Love being a drug. Chemical cut, I can get down. See what I mean? Equating sort of love and that drug and that feeling and that rush.
Up like the moon and out like the hounds. A dangerous disposition, somehow refracted in light, reflected in sound. I'm coiled up like a venomous serpent.
Wow.
Tangled in your trance, and I'm certain you have got your hooks in me. I know the way that it goes. You get what you give, you reap what you sow, and I can see you in my fate. And I know I am what I am, the mouth of the wolf, the eyes of the lamb. So darling, will you saturate? Just stop the
Wow. Wow.
Just the dust into nothing, and wash out the salt from my hair. So touch me again. I feel my shadow dissolving. Will you cleanse me with pleasure? Nobody can say.
I think right there, when everything just rises and really crescendos, right? The guitars are just vibrating. The percussion is just hitting. Everything around him is that chaos. And yet he's still got some of those beautiful notes and those beautiful tones because he's singing those same lyrics, right? That's got to be the chorus, right? But in this case, the chorus just gets a completely new context with just all the raging of the instrumentation around him. I just love the way that that sits. Instead of like pushing his voice and like getting maybe more aggressive with the delivery and kind of attacking more to match what's happening with the sounds of the guitars, he stays in those same tones. He stays right here. This beauty admits that chaos. I take it as. I do think that there's a thought process to the way that the musicality is put together and the way that instrumentation sits with his vocal delivery, matching themes from his songs and sort of that light and dark juxtaposition. We got lyrics to break down too.
Chance, and I'm certain you have got your touch me again. I feel my shadow dissolving. Will you cleanse me with pleasure?
See how like everything's kind of like subdued here. It's underneath the surface a little bit. Even that percussion, right, in the bass when he's singing these lines. And then later on, it just comes more to the forefront. It's like he can't hold it back anymore, right? There's that climax, right? Could be sort of sexual innuendos as well.
It's that chemical cut that I can get down with, up like the moon and out like the hounds. A dangerous.
Up like the moon, out like the hounds. Makes me think of like a werewolf, right? Howling at the moon. Up like the moon rising, but kind of, what does the night suggest? The night connotates something darker. Those shadows, that darkness, monsters that creep in the darkness. So he's up with the moon. Makes sense.
Down with, up like the moon and out like the hounds. A dangerous disposition, somehow refracted in light, reflected in sound. I'm
Dangerous disposition somehow refracted in light, reflected in sound. You think that that would be reflected in light as light reflects. But in this case, I take it as refracted. It gets sort of broken apart. Why? Shadows, right? A darkness getting refracted by the light. But that darkness, even though refracted through the light, still gets reflected in the sound, in this music that I make, still expressing those shadows.
Somehow refracted in light, reflected in sound. I'm coiled up like a venomous serpent.
Coiled up like the venomous serpent. And now we tie in our religious imagery here, right? The serpent in the Garden of Eden. The serpent representing what? Temptation.
Endured in your trance, and I'm certain you've got your hooks in me.
You've caught your hooks in me. He knows. He acknowledges. There's sort of that, that self-awareness that all this is happening, but still giving into it, right? Not wanting to fight it.
I know the way that it goes. You get what you give, you reap what you sow, and I can see you in my faith. And I know I am what I am, the mouth of the wolf, the eyes of the lamb. So
I know I am what I am. The mouth of the wolf, the eyes of the lamb. You know the saying, a wolf in sheep's clothing, but even more like the religious imagery, right? The sacrificial lamb, Jesus, and the lamb representing sort of innocence, that purity. Like, he knows what he is, right? He could try to hide that darkness, but he's accepted it because that darkness is reflected through her, through the sound, through the music, and again, sort of giving into that, right? He could try to be a lamb and pretend that he is and look back nostalgically on things. And for me, there is that pining for that innocence and that loss of all of that, but also just acceptance. She has her hooks in him, right? And he's reflected through that. And he is kind of like a wolf as well because he has that hunger and he wants to give in to those desires. Hey, I want to check something. Oh, good. I am recording my voice. And even there, what a line tying with the rain scheme. Will you saturate?
I can hear you say my name. So rain down on me. Oh, rain down on me.
How heavy this hits, like you hear the rain. This makes me think of like the thunder and the lightning striking down. It gives way to the rain. What a transition that is. And it just kind of reverberates out, right? Echoes out, transitions into the rain once more. And that's the last thing we hear. I'll never look at the rain the same way again. And for me, it's interesting because you take something that for a lot of artists and a lot of symbolism, rain can represent purity, right? It can be cleansing, washing away. But in this case, when you listen to his lyricism, and you understand the dynamic of this relationship, right? And sort of that toxicity within the relationship and that darkness and giving into sort of those carnal pleasures. Well, it's ironic then that he wants it and likens it to rain washing through him, right? Because it's almost like this overwhelming deluge. And when it rains, you know, we have a choice. Do we stay outside in it? Do we go look for cover? But him saying, you know, rain down on me, he's just giving into it. He's not looking for cover. And the rain is an unstoppable force, right, of nature. It's not something that we can fight against, that we can control. And I think by him likening everything and using rain as his symbolism, he's expressing that just sort of feeling of giving into nature, whether it's his nature, whether it's the nature of the relationship. It can't be stopped. So rain down on me. Love the lyricism and the poetry to that. And again, just the rises and falls. I feel like I'm on just like this crazy soul spiritual journey when I listen to a Sleep Token song, and I never know where it's going to consume me or what corner we're going to turn next. Sleep Token, you were Knox Hill certified. Hope you guys like today's video. Listen for some reason here at the end. Obviously enjoy the content. Do me a huge favor. Support the channel directly. Subscribe, notifications on. It really, really does help. A lot goes into these breakdowns. I hope you guys appreciate them. All right, everyone. Stay safe, stay positive. Take care of these. Take care of these. You know, I'll catch you again.
Sit down, sit down. Like, wow, how we do it like that? Like, wow.